Am I live? Okay, I think I'm live. I think I'm here, but I'm not sure. So, okay, cool. I think I'm here. So I'm on this different kind of live thing, and I've never done this one before. So forgive me for being a little confused at the beginning, but I see the timer running now, so I'm good. Um, it's been a while since I joined you live. For those of you who haven't seen me live, I'm Melanie Hill, founder of Stronger Than My Struggles. Hey. And I'm also the CEO of Melanie Hill Enterprise and the founder of STMS Cares. So we decided that with us doing so much online right now to try to reach out and be more supportive as we all deal with the COVID-19 crisis. I don't know how else to explain it except for crisis because it's affecting all of our lives. Um, we wanted to start bringing you a little more online engagement, resources, um, companionship. We kind of just want to be here for you. You know, we have a couple of different things that we're putting in place to be more supportive for you, such as we've brought our Tuesday online workshop. We have a therapeutic writing workshop that we do on Tuesdays. We brought that online now. So we had our first one this past Tuesday. We did it inside of our writing group, Writing for My Sanity. It was amazing. We had about 10 people join us. It was really cool. We hope that you'll join us next week. Again, you have to be inside of our Writing for My Sanity group. And it's easy to join. There's no restrictions, anything. Just come on over. And we'll be meeting on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock. And every Thursday, I'll be coming here to meet with you, to talk, um, to pass on some tips, and hopefully to help you through this process. You know, we're all just trying to get through. So I came here today to talk about healing through journaling as we all go through this process. I myself have been keeping a journal, not very detailed, like a diary, but a journal that I update maybe every few days to talk about the major things that are happening around me, the things that I'm watching change in the world, how time is passing, things that are coming up for me that feel like really emotional, things that I'm learning about myself. And I'm enjoying that. You know, I'm really enjoying um, documenting what's going on. And so I wanted to talk to you about being able to document and process for yourself because we're in unprecedented times. Never in our lifetime, and I'm 38 years old, so never in our lifetime have we seen anything like this. This is way worse than when the economy crashed in 2008. In the last 3 weeks, 16 million people have applied for unemployment. We've never seen anything like this in our times. The only time America has seen anything like this was the Great Depression and World War II. So understanding that we're in very unprecedented times is so important right now because a lot of people have a lot of feelings and emotions that they don't quite understand and they don't know how to deal with. And it's not our faults. You know, not knowing how to process something that's never happened before is normal. And I think that we have to give ourselves a little more grace and be more accepting of the fact that these are unprecedented times. And that means that things are going to happen and we're going to go through things and feel things that we may have never experienced before. And it's really important to document that because knowing who we are versus who life is going to force us to be in the midst of this and who we're going to come out as is so important. I don't know if you realize it, But one of the most famous books that ever came out of such a tragedy and crisis like this is a journal. The Diary of Anne Frank is something that we've all read. We've all been forced to read. And when you talk about World War II and the Holocaust, for a lot of people, that's all we know is the Diary of Anne Frank. And that's important because she wasn't a famous person. She wasn't someone notable, someone that, people were looking for her papers. She was a little girl hiding in the attic with her family. She was just one individual who documented her journey. And because she was such a young child documenting that journey, it impacted lives around the world for decades to come. That could be us. That could be you. You know, right now, as we go through this crazy situation that we're in, we have the opportunity to tap into ourselves in so many different ways. And I say that um, as a multipreneur and as a writer for life. But writing has given me the ability to transition jobs. Like, I hated a profession that I was in, but I wrote my way out of it. I was first writing journals, and then I started writing blogs, and then I started writing magazine columns, and then I upgraded to getting paid to be a blogger, and then books. Like, I literally wrote my way out of a situation. So now I write programs that sell. Um, Being able to write, process, document where you are versus where you're trying to get to is extremely important, especially in a time of crisis. Because in a time of crisis, we can make decisions based off of emotions. And that's some of the worst things to do, is to make a long-term decision with a temporary emotion. It's important to be able to look at things that are going on and to look at them logistically and to plan out how you're going to process and make it through things. So right now, it's really important that we document and we use this time as a time for healing and a time for processing and a time for posterity for our children. Things are not going to be the same when we come out of this. It's going to be a whole different situation that we're living in. And because things are going to be different, it's important to document how life is now, the changes that you see being implemented. So as you have to go into your new lifestyle and you're trying to tell your kids and your grandkids about what life was like before COVID-19, you actually have some documented evidence. Writing has not only saved my life by helping me get out of a profession that I hated, but it's really saved me from every bad situation I've ever been in. I started writing as a young child. I used to read so much. I would read anything except for science fiction. I hated science fiction, but you couldn't put anything else next to me because I grew up in a very abusive and traumatizing household and situation. And so every time I had a chance, I would find a book or a magazine or something to bury myself in, anything to escape. And when I couldn't read something, I would write. I would write because I understood the power of words and how they could transform my mood, how they could transform my situation, how they could take me from where I was to somewhere in my mind that was a good place for me. And so I started to write. And I was first writing for myself just to get away, hey, let me just write. If I sit down and I focus, then I can't think about anything else. Let me just write. Then I realized I was good at it. But I used to just write. just to escape. I mean, I had no plans of what to do with my writing. I just knew that I needed to write. The older I got, the more writing became important because I realized that there were things that were happening and it just didn't make sense to me. And so I started documenting, as much as I could about myself. And as I started to document more about myself, I started to realize that I wasn't always quite myself, and it didn't make sense because we didn't talk about things like having multiple personalities back then. I actually wasn't diagnosed for years, but I had one of my journals where they were actually signing as themselves, not me, you know. Um, but the journaling process gave us the opportunity to, I guess, talk to each other. And I didn't understand it back then. Journaling and writing has always been a way for me and many others to process traumatic events. So it's important that right now we stop and we allow ourselves to process things. The things that are happening around us, 6 major things that we need to make sure that we stay on top of is the date. So many people are out of work right now and out of school. Schools are closing for the whole year. So if schools are closed down for the year and you're not at work, it is very easy to slip into not knowing what day it is. It's really important to keep up with the dates. It's really important to not lose contact, to lose, uh, I don't even know the word, but it's important to stay in touch with what's going on in the world from day to day and who you are from day to day. Don't get lost in this. We're all just in the house and days are just sticking together. It's really important to keep up with the days, the dates. I see memes saying, in case you uh, forgot, it's the 15th of May, February. No, keep up with the dates and document your life. And when you document your life, when you journal, when you write, it's really important to make sure you date it. So when you go back later to look at this, you remember why this date was so important. Because we don't have things like this that have happened to us before. And if your life changes due to this COVID-19 crisis, you're going to want to document when it happened. The next thing that's really important that you keep up with right now are major events. It's important to document major events. When I say major, these are things that are making the news. So the fact that people are dying in New York at a rate that is incredible is something that you want to document. You want to document how many people are dying across the country. And I don't mean you need to know the numbers, but you need to take note of it. Because if it hasn't hit your city or your state yet, you need to document that it is happening. It is not one of those hoaxes or invisible things that may not hit you. I was sitting outside yesterday getting some air on my front by myself. One of my neighbors asked, could they sit with me? And I said, sure, if you sit 6 feet away. And so we were kind of having a conversation. And he asked, why he had to sit so far away from me. And I said, I'm social distancing. And he said, well, black people can't catch this. And I said, black people are dying. I don't know what's wrong with you. And don't believe what people are telling you. But black people are dying. So it's important to document these important things that are happening across the country. Like right now, people aren't talking about it. But if you live in New York, it's important that you document how many of your laundromats are closed right now. Because I know that your laundromats are closed. It is unprecedented that New Yorkers would be washing their clothes in the sinks and tubs and forced to use portable washers when they have all of these laundromats, but they're closed. I know. If you live in Virginia, it's important to talk about how in early March, your state decided to shut down till mid-June. Like, it's important to document these things. We're seeing things like multi-billion dollar companies closed just like suddenly. Like, imagine how much money Disney World is losing a day. But imagine all of the people that they ship back to their countries where the COVID-19 crisis was worse. Imagine all of the college students that they got put out of their programs because they can't stay on the campus. Think about the students across the country who got put out of their programs and yet they're still paying rent in their dorms. Or think about how they're seniors from middle school to high school to college who won't be able to walk across the stage this year. And each one of us, and nobody life is untouched by COVID-19. And it's easy to let all these things just pile up inside of us and act like they're not affecting us. They're not a big deal. But to be able to take the time to write about them, to process how they make us feel, that's the third thing to document right now. It's how you feel, how these things are actually affecting you. Because right now, people are afraid, people are confused, people are misinformed, people are sick, people are people are going through every range of emotions you could imagine. And because people are going through every range of emotions that we could imagine, some of them back to back. I myself went through all of the stages of grief. And I had to write through that. I had to write through my grief about COVID-19 because I had to understand that it was okay to grieve what I've lost due to COVID-19, even though I haven't lost a person. It almost felt selfish for me to grieve my personal losses from this crisis when people are losing family members. But I had to realize that my personal loss is still my loss. And I have a valid right to grieve these things. Like right before COVID-19 became a big deal in my state and they shut down almost everything, I was headed to San Francisco. But then San Francisco was put on a shutdown. They were the first one to be issued a stay-at-home order. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just stay home. And then I had a big event planned for April in DC. And I've invested thousands of dollars into this event. And then they rescheduled it to December. And they've now rescheduled it to October. And I'm like, okay. And I was supposed to be in Disney World this month, but they're shut down and they're on a stay-at-home order. And so I have to reschedule my trip. Likewise, I was supposed to be in LA next month in the Bahamas. And these trips are all paid for in full. But there's literally nothing I can do. And so as I started to feel so bad, like I feel like not only is my money just wasted and out in the air, but like all of these things that I had to look forward to are just being taken from me one at a time, just one at a time. I went through a grieving process and I didn't realize it. At first, I just fell into depression. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I mean, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just knew I was depressed. And then it finally made sense to me that I was grieving. I was hurting. I was missing all of my plans and all of the things that I had prepared for. And some of these things are things I have been waiting almost a year for, like my trip to the Bahamas, and I was angry. You go through all of the phases of grief. And I thought it wasn't okay. I started comparing my grief to other people's grief, saying, well, other people have it worse than me. Everyone is always going to have somebody that has it worse than them. That doesn't invalidate how you feel. It didn't invalidate how I felt. But I had to remind myself that. And I reminded myself of that through journaling. It was actually writing about how much I had lost that made me say, well, why do I feel so bad? Acknowledging how I feel, or that it hurt me to lose all of this, because this is a loss, not just time wise, but financially, um, and being forced to sit still when I'm not used to sitting still, has forced me, like many others, to have to deal with myself in ways that I wasn't prepared to. So even now, as I write and I journal, I have to confront myself about why certain things are happening with me, why this being in the house is such a bad thing, because I'm not in a horrible position. I'm in a house where everything is okay. I have enough of everything. I'm safe. You know, it's just me. So it's not like there's someone in here to bother me. Why am I so bothered? Why am I so angry? And then I had to realize I was really grieving the fact that I had all of these plans. I wasn't supposed to be here. It's bigger than I can't go outside. It's I wasn't supposed to even be here. I know on this date, this is where I have to keep canceling these flights. Like, I had to stop and really write this down and be like, hey, I have every right to feel this, because look at all of this. But because I was just feeling it internally, I was feeling bad. I was punishing myself. I had not stopped to process that these were real things, and they were in a number that made sense for me to be angry. At the same time, it's really important that right now you document personal triumphs, because even in the middle of a crisis, we're all still experiencing personal triumphs. Just yesterday, I was so excited because I was sitting with my business manager on a meeting. We did a Zoom meeting because I wanted to learn how to do webinars and how to bring two people onto live, like to do interviews and stuff like that. And I'm not really tech savvy, but I really wanted to learn how to do that so that we can engage with you more while we're all stuck in the house. So I sat with my business manager on Zoom and we did a screen share. And she taught me how to do that. And she taught me how to make a cute little virtual background and all kinds of stuff. And I really felt really proud because that's actually on my list of things that I wanted to accomplish this year, is to learn how to work Zoom better, because it is a necessary tool, and it was necessary for me before this crisis. I've used it for all of my programs. So learning how to use it better was so important to me. And then she was able to learn more about Infusionsoft, which is a program that I need her to use, and I use for work. And I didn't think I was good at it. She asked me to help her the other day, and I was like, well, you can't watch me. I'm not that good at it. It'll be, weird because I'll be clicking too many buttons. But then I decided to show her, and I realized that I was better at it than I realized. And it was like, wow. You know, right now, I'm trying to exercise more. I didn't have the time to exercise. I was always on the go. I'm, sad that I'm not moving around as much, but I have more time to exercise now. I'm eating better now. Like, these personal triumphs, they matter. Each one of us is experiencing personal triumphs. I'm sleeping. Oh my God, I had insomnia. I am sleeping right now. For me, that is a triumph. It's really important that we document our personal triumphs right now. Likewise, it's important that we document our struggles right now. And I don't mean that you have to, document your pain. You can. But being as though we're in unprecedented times, it's important to document the struggles that you're facing, because they may be new for you. They may be things that you never experienced before. And hopefully, after this, you'll never experience again. But for 16 million people to lose their jobs, then that's a lot of people whose lives have changed. And I'm sure that they're dealing with struggles that are very different. No matter if you're a electrician or a hair tech, you may have been laid off, downsized, forced to close shop. If you're an independent contractor, you may be screwed in some places that you never even thought about, having an issue. It's important to document this. If your lifestyle has changed and you're eating differently, and maybe it's not by choice. Maybe it's because you can't, um, you can't eat, like you're too stressed out. Maybe it's because you've had to budget differently. It's important to document these things because these are the things that for posterity, people will want to know. Whether you're doing this for personal reasons, just for yourself, or you're writing this to one day use this to be a book, a guide, about the COVID-19 crisis and how you survived it. It's important to document these things because one day people will wonder what the hell happened in 2020. And I don't mean just strangers, but your own children and your grandchildren, because life will be different after this. And as we try to process and understand what's going on in this crazy world of ours, sometimes we don't even feel comfortable talking to the people we're closest to. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to anyone else, you can talk to yourself. You don't have to share anything in your journal with anyone else. You don't have to write this for anyone else. But it's important that you keep checking in with you. So again, I suggest you take some time to just keep a journal right now, whether you update it daily, weekly, or bi-weekly, to keep up with the dates, with major events that's going on, with personal events that are happening in your life. Because just because the world stopped doesn't mean that your life stopped. People are still having babies. People are still getting married. People are getting engaged. People's lives are still changing. Keep up with it because these dates will matter. Just because you can't go out and do something big right now doesn't mean that you shouldn't mark this special date so that you can celebrate later. It's important that you document your triumphs and your struggles right now. Writing can be such a healing and therapeutic thing, especially for people who feel isolated, people who feel unheard, or people who feel like they don't have anywhere else to turn. And remember, no one has to see it. You don't have to share it with anyone. If you can't be real with anyone else, you can always be real with yourself. I hope you enjoyed our time today. I'll be coming back every Thursday at 3 o'clock. And also in our Writing for My Sanity therapeutic writing and meditation group, I'll be coming live every Tuesday at 3. We have an interactive group where you can join and we can talk to each other, and we can write together a little. And it's really cool. It's like an online support group. All you have to do is join the group and the link will be there. And it's free, of course. So hopefully you'll join me next Thursday. And I'll see you soon.